right, we're back. How's everyone doing?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Oh, a minute, I'm invisible. Right, okay. I can see myself now. Right.
It's all right. We like to stealthily go live.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, welcome to the Through Our Eyes podcast with myself, Dracthonia, and the lovely co-host, who's not up there. I'm looking at the wrong place.
I'm here somewhere.
That way. Arthremis.
Hi.
It's starting off well.
Good start, Drac. Good start. Strong.
Alerts will be silent. We are recording to put up on Anchor. The aim of this podcast is to talk about things that are usually not talked about, highlight marginalised groups' stories on an individual basis, and basically try and educate, try and raise awareness about various problems and situations that occur in people's lives. This has come from Arthremis's big project of streams every 2 months to highlight marginalised groups, and you've just done one. Would you like to tell us about how that went?
Yeah, so last weekend we held the second Through Our Eyes stream. It was meant to be 10 hours long. It turned into 12. It was a very, very long day. But it was absolutely fantastic. It was an LGBT plus panel. We had 30 different content creators. We raised over £1,800, which has actually had a little extra added to it as well as time's gone on, and it's still open for Mermaids Gender. It was just a fantastic, fantastic weekend. Told a lot of stories. Somebody dressed up as a toothbrush. Cats cannonballed across desks. There was a lot of chaos going on, and a lot of fantastic stories told. And we have now officially announced the third Through Our Eyes stream, which will be taking place in May, which is a BIPOC special featuring myself and 5 different co-hosts this time. One for each section of the panel. So we're going to have Wreck-It Raven, Papa Bear, Bendy Dinosaurs, Shiny Pen, and Atypical Queer joining us. So we have somebody who can actually run the discussion for each part ready to go. But yes, that will be supporting a charity as well. We're just working out who.
Awesome. Well, today we are going to be talking to Ashley. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Ashley. I'm from Scotland, which is beyond the wall. I am a stand-up comedian and online content. Well, to be fair, I just make online content now. I haven't been a stand-up comedian for about a year and a fucking half. Oh, I'm allowed to say bad words on this?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes, we shall start by all saying fuck, and it will go from there.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Sweet, I got a genuine panic in my chest there.
Nope.
And I'm a radio host, and my biggest fear is that I'm going to accidentally say fuck on the radio. So that was just fulfilling that wee terror there.
Oh, that's all right. You are more than welcome to swear. Get it all out your system.
I was going to say, let your inner Scot out. Could I get shout out? Where can people find you online?
Oh, on Twitch it's at Ashley Storrie, ASHLEYSTORRIE. Everything is my name because I think that's the easiest way for people to find you. So Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, RuneScape, whatever. It's just my name.
Oh, God. Funny you say RuneScape because my husband used to work on it. Yeah. Hi, husband.
Hi.
Tell him I fucking love it.
Ashley fucking loves it.
Fucking hashtag Falador for life.
Hashtag Falador for life.
Oh, God.
Perfect. There you go.
Oh, my God.
They're actually Duriel.
I cannot hear what you're saying.
That's fine.
Oh, we'll talk RuneScape later.
So apparently, during this podcast, we're talking RuneScape.
Yes, exactly.
It's a marginalised group, so let's just get right into it.
It's all right. I know the community managers. I'll get them. Give me 5 minutes.
World of Warcraft people bully us, so
Oh.
I just think that that's exactly what we should be talking about right now.
All right.
Is
We're gonna...
people saying I haven't played it for 15 years, is that not shut down? No, it's perfect. It's great right now, everybody. So stop in the chat with the, oh, is it not dead? No, it's still alive. Shut your pie holes.
It'll never die.
It never will. Not while there's another platform to release it on. So...
Isn't that Skyrim? Anyway, we are here today to not talk about RuneScape, actually. We're here today to talk about periods, because everybody loves talking about periods, don't they?
And
Actually,
if we were talking about periods in RuneScape, I would be a level 99 with a cape. Because...
with a red flowing cape. That's what you need.
Yes, I would.
Oh, dear.
Legendary item, Diva Cup. I just...
Oh dear, right. I've already completely derailed this whole thing that was very serious and earnest about periods.
It's okay. It already derailed itself, to be fair.
Okay, good.
This is really how every episode of the podcast goes. Don't you worry. Oh.
So, to start off, we like to hear a little bit about the guest's story, what challenges you faced. So tell us a little bit about your story and your experience with periods.
My period is a nightmare, and I feel like if I'm not... I've got the thickening, which is the week before, where I'm really upset. And then there's the bit where it won't start, but I know it's wanting to start.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I sugar myself hard enough, it'll start. And then it starts, and then there's the 3 days where it feels like my legs are going to fall off. And then there's the 3 days of clumpy. And then there's the 3 days where I think it's finished, but it's not finished. And then there's the 1 week after it where I feel really sexy. And I'm just yes. And I feel thin, and I'm like, what's this feeling? And then as soon as that finishes, my boobs start to hurt, and then I know the thickening's coming the week after that. So there's always some form of, apart from that 1 week of reprieve, there's always some form of periodiness occurring round about me. And I get really bad period pains, and there's a lot of people, endometriosis, and it's a big thing, and people like to talk about it, and they're like, get to your GP, get seen. I've been to my GP. I don't want to talk to Dr. Halley about my bloody puss any more than I have to. She already thinks I'm a fucking weirdo. I don't want to have to, I'm the girl who went in and cried because I'm worried about getting turned into a doll by a wizard and had to get put on anti-anxiety medication so that I'd stop worrying about a wizard turning me into a doll. So I'm like, I don't need to go in anymore. She knows I've got bad periods. She tries to put me in the pill. I say no. She says, okay. We've had this conversation 9 million times. I just don't, it's one of those things, and there's this belief in society that sort of one hat fits all with period. When you're a kid, you go into school, a lady comes in, for me it was a Welsh nun, tells you that you're going to bleed a teaspoon of blood, you get a little cramp, get hot water bottle, just tuck yourself up and you'll be fine, ladies. And that's it. That's what you're told. That's it. And you don't get told. Do you know what the worst part? I'm going to fucking break some fucking ceilings here, and I'm going to blow some minds. Do you know what you don't get told about? The gooey blob that falls out during your ovulation. It's called a cervical mucus plug. If you don't have a cervix, it's essentially like the sticky stuff that credit cards stick to paper with when you get sent a credit card. And the
Absolutely is.
that falls out your vag. It flip-flops down your leg like a sticky soldier out of a Christmas cracker. Nobody tells you about this. So you're 16 in school, a jelly tot has just fell out of your body, and you're like, I've got SARS disease. That's the only explanation for this, because surely if this was normal, somebody at some point in my life would have took me aside and went, Ashley, jelly is going to fall out your body and stick to your tights. Not mentioned once. Can you imagine that? Could you imagine if a jelly tot fell out a man's cock once a month? There would be posters. Ant and Dec would be doing TV adverts to warn them about it. It would be in Biker Grove. Not a single mention in my entire... It wasn't until I was in my 20s. I just said it on stage one day. I just went, fuck it, I'm going to mention this and see if anybody else knows about it. Standing on stage, I was like, has anybody ever had jelly fall out their fanny? And a room full of women went... Like nobody had ever spoke about this in the history of vaginas, and half the world has this thing, and we don't talk about it. Mental.
It's one of the things that I was excited to highlight with this podcast is the fact that no one ever talks about this kind of shit because it's women's health. We don't talk about that kind of stuff. We leave it to the behind closed doors and under the petticoats. We can't talk about all the things that go on under there.
No, and the other thing that I always think with periods, the one thing that every woman experiences and no woman has ever told about is underwear bleaching. Because so many women are like, this mark on my pants, it means I am diseased, I'm going to die, somebody has put bleach into my underwear, I'm the most disgusting, filthy thing. No, actually, that means your vagina is working perfectly. That means that you're clean and you're well. But so many stories have been posted about, you know, women being like, my boyfriend won't have sex with me because my pants have things on it. It's like, does he want a dirty vagina? Or would he rather like a clean vagina that works correctly? You need the correct pH level or it's not excitable for anybody. Like, that happens. That's why you have period pants that you wear during times of ovulation and things like that. You keep the sexy pants for the 1 week where you feel sexy.
if you're lucky to get that
if
1
you're
week.
Lucky. If not, you keep them in like a silk-lined box. Just.
I say once again, if a man's cock bleached anything, oh my days, Des Lynam would have done a fucking show about it in the 70s, and we would still be watching reruns of My Bleachy Cock. But no.
I kind of want to see that film, though.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. But yes, so there are so many different aspects of periods and women's health and hygiene that no one talks about. It's not something that in schools is raised. I mean, to be fair, they take from a UK experience. I can't generalize for most other countries, but in a UK experience, they take the boys and the girls out into separate rooms, tell them the smallest amount of information that they can get away with to avoid having to actually educate them. Tell them not to have sex and look at these diseased genitals and then send you on your way. And this, to me, is something that is extremely confusing and questionable, because surely we should be educating everyone about our bodies in a way that's actually useful. Raises awareness.
There's a knock-on effect that people don't talk about, because we can laugh and say, well, we don't talk about these things, but there is a very definite knock-on effect. 1 in 3 women in the UK who are offered their smear test don't get their smear test because they're embarrassed of their vagina. And the thing that they're embarrassed about is probably just a normal thing. Yeah. That it happens to everybody. But because nobody's ever talked about it, they've internalized it and they're embarrassed and they're ashamed. 1 in 3 women don't get a test that could detect abnormalities in their cervix and save their lives because of embarrassment.
Yeah.
They're literally people dying of shame, which is so ridiculous. And that's the knock-on effect of raising children to be like, don't talk about what comes out of your pee-pee hole. That's what happens when you create that environment. I was very lucky. I had parents who talked about everything, not the jelly tot. When I did mention this to my mum, I was like, what the fuck is this? She was like, oh, I didn't know either. Like, that's my mum. That's a woman who's had a baby who didn't know what that was. And
but that's the thing, no one's prepared for it. Like, they're not preparing people for understanding the differences of our bodies and the similarities and the things that we can expect. I mean, if my experience is anything to go by, then there are a lot of women out there that are sat there thinking about their bodies and going, oh dear God, what the fuck is wrong with it? Is this normal? And then when they happen to mention it to their doctors, 8 days of period is not normal. And being in bedbound is not normal. And there's endometriosis. But this is the thing, like, so there was an article actually in the news today, which I thought was extremely good timing, that 1 in was it 10 women have endometriosis in the UK, and it takes about 7.5 years to actually get diagnosed with it, and there's nothing that they can do about it. And often they're not. Often the advice is go on the pill, have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And this is quite often the advice that most women are given when they go to the doctors for women's health.
My mum went to the doctors and was diagnosed with endometriosis at 15, so 30 odd years ago. And the first thing they said was, well, could you have a kid? That'd be easier. Could you have a kid? And it was like, no, I'm 50. I'm not even at the age of consent. Like, I can't have a baby right now. And they were like, oh, really? It was like, okay, well, we'll have to do surgery then. It's like, you couldn't have posited that before the child suggestion.
It's a huge issue as well. I mean, I've got all this knowledge in my head because I've done fringe shows about these subjects. So I've done like shows where I've spoke to people every day about smear tests or about periods or about things like that. But the British Heart Foundation had to put out like a thing saying that if you're a woman, be more persistent when you go to the doctors with chest pain, because women are like 8 times more likely to be told you're overreacting or given heartburn medication for what is a heart attack. Like, just because of your gender, you go in and you're like, I've got a pain in my chest, it's going to be heartburn, have some omeprazole and calm down. It's never going to be taken seriously, and there is a complete bias within medicine. It comes from women, it comes from men. You don't fix it by being angry about it, you fix it by discussing it and by, mentioning it and letting people know. When you go to the doctors, you really have to, I think what you said before we started, you have to be your own advocate, and medically you have to be your own advocate over and over and over again, and it's painful and it's annoying
exhausting.
And you get
and it creates an environment where women with quite a lot of health problems, for example, the 2 hosts here, get a genuine fear of going to the doctors. And this is something that I keep on trying to emphasize in this podcast, is that you really need to keep fighting, keep putting it out there. Do not back down. Do not have that fear of going to the doctors. You have to be persistent, because you are the only one that is going to fight your corner. At the end of the day, the doctors aren't going to fight your corner because they've got 10 minutes to get you out of their door. And honestly, they would rather have done with the entire situation than take the time to have to deal with more complicated cases. And when it comes to periods, most doctors are, here's the pill, on your way.
And like I said, I'm not keen on taking the pill because it's not really changed since the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that worries me, that something in medicine is just like, oh, it's fine, bye.
I was on pills for not just general pills, just like the contraceptive pills.
Yeah.
just to be specific, the contraceptive pill for over 10 years, because when I was 15, they immediately put me on the pill because I was passing out when I was having a period. No one thought to go, do you think maybe she's got endometriosis? I'm like, nah, her be right. Here's a pill. And I was on and off different pills for over 10 years, and I was miserable. I was constantly bleeding. I was constantly having the same issues. I was constantly having mood swings. People genuinely thought that I was psychotic because I had like such bad mood swings and erratic behavior because of all these pills that I was on. And the moment that I came off, suddenly it was like I'd got my personality back, because that's how much they can impact a person's like general like brain activity, their personalities, their functioning. It's not something to take as lightly as doctors are seeming to take it.
Mm-hmm.
But
if I could get pregnant, you'd be guaranteed there'd be a much better solution.
There is. I don't like. I'm nervous about coming off as like bitter, or you're just a man hater. Actually, you're just a man hater. But there is definitely a medical bias. It's a proven medical bias, and men's health issues are important. But there is more being done in terms of discussion on television and media about those issues than there is about ours. That is just a fact. That is just a statistical fact. Ours are ushered into corners of special interest. Men's health is put front and centre, like Good Morning Britain, where you've got the guy from Love Island whose brother had testicular cancer showing their balls on television so that you can see, which is fucking brilliant. Show men how to self-check. But also show women how to check for lumps, show women the signs, talk about, because a big part of being able to diagnose what's wrong with your period is being able to talk about the viscosity, the colour. Is that a normal colour? Is that a normal shape? Should lumps be falling out my body? Is that normal? And the more you can't discuss that, the more people are putting their life at risk, again, for shame and embarrassment. And across all the boards, we should be getting rid of shame and embarrassment. Let's talk about poop as well. Fuck it, let's go for it.
Yeah. It's all the best diagnostic things is actually being able to talk about it. But I will say as well, though, for all the issues that we're having, I feel twice as not sorry, because it's a very pitying thing, but I really do feel for trans people as well, because imagine being a trans masc dude. Like, one of my best friends is a trans masc dude. They haven't had bottom surgery. They don't want to, as far as I'm aware. But obviously they're going to have to go for a smear test at some point. And I can't imagine the kind of fucking ridicule or difficulty they're going to have trying to get that sorted.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's not just women have periods.
Yeah.
Like, let's just put that out there. Not just women have periods. And there is also an increase of cancers associated with the transition using certain hormones. So they actually genuinely have to go and have more regular checks. And the thing is this is again something that's not talked about, because it's the amount of risk that a person goes through when transitioning is extreme. It's not something that's taken lightly. It's not something that is just gone, oh, I just kind of fancied a change. It's something that actually is genuinely, like, you are putting yourself in at risk in so many different ways to do this, and it should be taken seriously. It should be talked about. It should be something that we all realize that people are going through the similar situations, but it's not talked about, and it's hidden away, and it should be more talked about.
Exactly. When I said that when you're young, you're taught that one hat fits all when it comes to menstruation, and in the giant spectrum of us beautiful human beings, there is so many in-betweens and differences and things. I mean, just from the perspective of cis women, not everybody's butt is the same shape. Not everybody's vagina fits that fucking tiny sanitary tibble that's designed for women with the tiniest pussies in the entire world. Not everybody can wear a tampon day in, day out, because some of us feel like it's a constant intrusion.
Yeah.
Not everybody can wear a moon cup, because some of us are icky about touching stuff in public toilets. There's a huge, big spectrum of difference throughout it, and how it affects people who are neurodiverse. Again, something that's never discussed. I'm on the autism spectrum. When my hormones go mad, I can go fully almost psychotic because my brain can't cope with what's happening with all my chemicals inside me. But nobody ever talks about that. Nobody ever talks about that. And so, yeah, this isn't just a muggle problem. It's the whole magical spectrum of human problem, and it should be constantly discussed. And I think that we're getting to this stage. Again, I can only look at it from my perspective, but in terms of media and presence and stuff, you've got alpha male comedians talking about their daughter's first period. And, you know, if they start doing it more, then maybe it'll be okay for us. I know that's a terrible thing, but it is the fucking world we live in. And if Bert Kritchner, whatever his name is talking about his daughter's period on Jimmy Fallon, that's a good thing. That's a good thing for everybody. And good men, allies, non-bleeders talk about it as well and make us feel less weird. And don't just go, oh, is that you on your period? Because you've got no again, I hate to quote science, but they did a medical test, and some women's period pain is the equivalent of a heart attack. That's the pain. The pain level is the same as a severe heart attack, but in your arsehole. Imagine that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one way that I can think of giving men a perspective of what trying to even find a good sanitary product is like is the same as condoms, right? Not all condoms fit all men, and it's one of those things that, you know, there are various sizes, different makes, different varieties, flavors, whatever. Scents that will work better for you, because, you know, it's all based around whether or not you get the same level of pleasure out of wearing that particular condom. Think of that, but with a product that is taxed, a product that isn't talked about. We're not given instruction manuals. The companies advertise it as here's something with a cup of water.
And also imagine that condom could flip over by accident, get stuck to your pubes and rip them all out.
Yeah, that will happen.
Imagine
Dry blood is a nightmare.
It can give you toxic shock if you don't change it regularly enough. Imagine that you need to violate yourself every however many times you have to use them, but no one tells you how to use them, but you have to shove a piece of cardboard up your junk and then somehow push something through it, and that's supposed to be comfortable.
And if you're a larger woman, that is never going to happen. Our arms are too short. It's never going to happen.
Yes.
Truth be told.
It needs to be put on the little leaflets. If you look at a big fat arse, this is not easy. You have to be able to put one leg up on a toilet pan, get some sort of balancing,
and then you're stuck there for 3 days, and it's just all gone wrong.
Well, that's how we do it, isn't it? We just get stuck there and we just bleed out into this various sink or tile area, and then we just wipe it up when we can move again.
Sink, you're definitely doing it wrong. I don't know what you've not been told, but don't do it over a sink. First things first, you're going to get clots. They are going to fuck up your sink. Don't do that. And Also, don't use always pads. I tell you this, if you're a person that doesn't bleed and you're buying them for people that do bleed, personally, I hate always pads. They always stink of lavender, and I do not want to smell like an old woman for a week. Please fuck off. Like, even when you change the pad and you use a different brand, still lavender. Everything smells like lavender. I don't want to smell like Earl Grey tea. Please stop.
Don't use scented products.
Jesus, no.
For just anyone who's buying them for someone or using them, do not use scented products. Do not use deodorants. Do not use any of those things. Do not try and cover that area with anything that could potentially detriment your natural flora and fauna, because it's not going to end well for you.
No.
And no one tells you that. Because
my dad buys me my sanitary products because he's a very sweet man. And I had to say, Dad, I need the ones that are like really long, that'll go from my front to my back and they can't smell. So my dad is very severely dyslexic and he can't read nor write, and he's in the late night Tesco, which is where he likes to go. He's a very autistic man. He's got his special outfit that he wears for going out. And he's literally walking up and down the Tesco aisle. My mum's just fucked off and left him because she's like, this is too embarrassing. He's walking up and down the Tesco aisle sniffing sanitary towels.
Oh, bless!
It's okay, that's what I do.
That's so sweet, though.
This little spotty, like the little kid from The Simpsons, almost like, yeah, can I help you? Comes up. And my dad's like, out loud in the Tesco's, my mum said she could hear him from the cereal aisle, goes, do you have any non-scented sanitary towels? The scented ones make my daughter's vagina itch. Don't worry, she's an adult.
True, scented ones do. Oh.
My mum's phoning me as she runs out the Tesco's like, he's just told the whole Tesco that you've got itchy fanny, we can never come back.
We've got to find a new supermarket.
We'll try Lidl, they go in for that thing more around there.
Can't go to Lidl. Dad has befriended every person in Lidl and we can never go there ever. He loves a supermarket, he loves talking shit to poor people who have got to stack shelves, and he's like, did you know that it's France week next week? Did you?
To meet your dad. Oh my god. Oh, there was something else I was going to say and it's just completely fucked off out my brain. No, I remember. Yes, so just in terms of why you don't use scented products, your word flora was actually absolutely correct there, because the vagina has a very, very, very delicate pH balance. And you probably remember this in school with that big, like, fucking thing with red on one end and green on one end. It's like, oh, don't go too far that way, don't go too far that way. It's either acid or alkaline. And basically, you don't want baking soda in your vag, and you don't want vinegar either. It needs to be right in the middle. You don't. If it smells like either one of those ends, you've got a fucking problem. So go to a doctor. It's got to be right in the middle. But when you start introducing scented things, it starts to mess up that, because obviously alkalines and acids have different smells, so you don't want to be covering anything. And they can, because obviously it's just chemicals next to a very moist, warm area, to put it very blandly. You get problems. You don't introduce things that are a fertile breeding ground to warmer, moist areas. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. No.
Like dicks. Don't introduce those.
Consensually, you may introduce dicks. But yes. Oh, there you go. The pH of a vagina is about the same pH of beer. I don't recommend a taste test, depending what time of month
I also don't recommend trying to combine the two either.
Not the yeast we needed.
Yeah, you do not want yeast up in there.
No.
Which again is something that people do not talk about. Very often women can get yeast infections and no one tells them when that is, like, what to look out for or what it is that they should be experiencing throughout their month, because it just generally changes throughout the month, and different things can change the, like, look, I'm just going to come out and say it, the discharge that comes out of you, right? Discharge in general is pretty normal, but there are different types of discharge.
Mm-hmm.
But no one talks about it. Oh, dear.
I think that there's like, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but because since lockdown, it's been mainly sitting on a computer seat with a sweaty butt. It's not been pleasant. Like I've realised that, and I'm like, I need to be more careful of my vagina overheating as I sit on a gaming seat for 5 hours playing The Sims, trying to get my sim pregnant as many times as possible. Yay! And then they've got bunk beds, so it's like so much easier. But it's like you've all of these things. It's like, men, don't put your laptop directly on your bobby because that'll like fry your baby bobs, your little snicky snocks. What are they called? Sperm.
Okay, I see.
A snicky snock.
Little swimmers. Gotcha. But yeah, actually, I've just imagined the perfect way to describe it a little bit. Just imagine ball sweat forever.
Yeah.
The husband in the room just like, oh. So. Yeah. You don't want that. You don't like it. You never want it. You never put anything hot near your lap because of the ball sweat. And then just imagine that forever. And then they try and sell you fucking lavender scented pads to put in just to be like
coconut foam, and you're like, no, I don't want to smell like a warm bounty. Please leave me alone.
Exactly. And it's like, blood doesn't smell anyway, and if it does, it just smells like pennies. You have probably eaten a penny as a child. Stop being weird.
Is that right? This is something that I've always wanted to talk about. The smell. You can tell about what part of your cycle you're on because you smell different, and you can smell pheromones during ovulation.
100%. Also,
right? No one talks about it.
There's a smell. I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but like there is like a time where something will happen and things will align, and I will give off a scent where literal men will come up to me in the street who would never talk to me, and they'd be like, do you want to see a video of me doing kickboxing? And I'm like, look, this has happened to me when I've just been stood in the street and a big man has walked up and went, do you want to see a video of me doing kickboxing? And I'm like, no. And he's like, no, just watch it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I've walked 7 steps and another man's been like, hello, what's your name? And I'm like, what is it? And I'm giving all, I know it. There is an essence of like fertility and something coming at my shit. And it's making them all go mental.
Despite the fact that you've broken out in spots because your hormones have changed.
I look like Uncle Fester, but I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
But you're exuding.
Yeah. It's the Uncle Fester. It's the Tipex discharge, because that's what you get a week before you actually go, because that's basically it going, I've landed a baby! Send the signals! You know, it's like the white smoke whenever they elect a new pope. It's just like, new egg's been laid off, they fucking go. And
my
then,
nipples are persistently hard because my boobs have swollen, so I've just got like pokey nipples that if I move, ache. And then some man's like, do you want to see me do some really fast punching? I'm like,
no. It's like, I just want to go home and take off my bra, thank you.
Leave me and my little egg alone. We don't want your stinky schnunks near us.
We don't want this to develop any further than it already has, thank you very much. It's just...
But yes. There was another thing that I was wanting to bring up about the whole comparison with the sweaty balls. Yes, I am bringing up the sweaty balls again.
Yes, the ball sweat,
so, on that topic of maybe during lockdown you've been experiencing a bit more of a unpleasant area. It's
sweaty gash, just say it.
Yeah. It's usually because of the kind of underwear that you're wearing. Your area needs to breathe, and synthetic materials do not allow your junk to breathe. You need to be wearing cotton underwear. I know they're not the sexy ones. Usually the sexy ones are often all sorts of strange and unusual man-made materials, but it's the thing that gives your junk the best environment for it to stay healthy. So really, the period panties that you're usually wearing during that time of the month is the stuff that you should be wearing most of the time around the month.
24/7 period pant person. I want a big old pant. I don't want anything up the shucks of my arse. I don't want it. Again, I'm autistic. I don't like labels rubbing me. I don't like fabrics that feel weird. I need a specific cut of pant, and it's like the same pant I've been wearing since I was 8, and I don't want any other form of pant. And I get quite annoyed that there's not more options for me on like Savage X Fenty of safety pants without frou-frou or jaggy bits or like I don't want jaggy points on my pants. I don't understand why they exist.
Or that really shitty lacing that turns into like cobwebs after you wash it once. It's like, no, fuck off. I'm never wearing you again. And,
I don't understand why there are wash labels on underwear. Like, why would you want that? What possible benefit does that have?
But did you know they're meant to be like washed in the sweat of virgins to keep their purity? Honestly, if you don't have the label, how do you know? How do you know? But no, just have it one of those little like stapled on labels. It's fine. We're going to take it out anyway.
Oh dear. Right. So, we've got a few questions to move on to here, so let's
Before we move on, I did distract from you talking about the smell of your period. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the smell of your period? Because I started talking about the kickboxing man outside Sainsbury's. Is there anything else? Because I know that you've got your tinny smell, and then it goes into more of like an Iron Age. Like in my head, there's like it's Dark Age, Iron Age, and then
literally like a day before my period. Like a day before, I feel like a wolf because I'm just like, there's blood in the air.
Yeah.
There is no blood anywhere else. Where is this coming from?
Where is it coming from?
It's like, quickly, find the bleached panties. Let's locate them and go get the body formed. We need the ultra long winged ones because fuck if they're moving about. I don't want them to move. And,
God. I still find the winged ones move. They do a bit. They just swivel round. It's like, but that's the wrong direction.
They do a bit, but I do personally really like the bodyform ones because they're cheaper as well, which is good. But they don't like some of the. Just for clarity, some of the pads you get, and the people that menstruate will be like, don't get those. They actually bunch up. So you know how like cat litter gets all clumped when it gets peed on? You get that in your pants, and you don't want to accidentally sit on a rock of blood, and it's not comfy, and it's not good. And you want it to fit that little fucking flower shape it does on it to draw the blood away and keep the thing flat. Otherwise, it's just the worst. It's just the worst.
Something that we also could do with talking more about is the fact that no one ever tells you how much to actually expect. Like, how much blood is a normal amount of blood? How much should you be filling the pad? What should it look like? What's that goop? What is
what's the colour? Why is it clotting? What the fuck is that? Like,
why is there something that looks like a gigantic blood clot here?
Was I pregnant? Did I literally miscarry? What the fuck is that? And it's like, no, that's just lining. It's fine. It's like, oh, I wish somebody had told me.
But nobody does. Nobody does. And the other thing, the other thing that nobody tells you is sometimes your period pain is really, really, really bad. And sometimes the only thing that can help that period pain is a wank. And it's not pretty. It's not like your romantic time with yourself. It's a pretty fucking, I need to get this done because I know that it's going to help the agonising pain I'm in.
It relieves it for like this amount of time.
Yeah, but that amount of time when you're in like fucking dire situations, there can be that just hit of endorphin that just get you through to the next dose of painkillers that can fill in that gap. And it's a true fact. Google it, but don't Google it weird. Google it good.
Don't use Bing. Whatever you do, do not use Bing.
Never use
Bing.
Bing.
One out of the way.
Why is Bing so stupid. What happened to her? She's like she is genuinely the most autistic search engine, because she will search the exact literal thing you've searched for and not at all think outside the box. She'll be like, love eggs, and she'll take you to a site about people who love eggs, and you're like, you're a stupid bitch. I hate
Seriously,
you.
I wanted you to send me to Bombadara or Love Honey or something. I didn't want to look. My God, right? Okay. Cool.
I've literally
Anyway.
I use Bing every day, and I'm like, every day I'm like, you're going to learn from me because you're a computer, and that's what you should do. And every day she's like, did you mean? And I'm like, no, Bing, no, I did not fucking mean that, you stupid cow.
Every day you search something, there's a man sat in an office somewhere else just like, what's the fucking funniest thing I can send back? Just...
I hate Bing. I hate her. Right.
Anyway. So
you're just using it out of spite now.
Yeah.
Next question. How were you specifically told about puberty and periods?
In an educational format from a Welsh nun. That's not a joke. She was called Mrs. Waitman. She came into school. She said, you're going to bleed a little bit. And blah, 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 blah. I went home. I told my mum. My mum is a comedian and told me that a brick was going to fall out my vagina, and that was my first period, and I'd have to weigh it, and that's how I would know like how tall I'd grow or something. She thought it was funny and made up this whole story about how a giant brick would fall out my vagina. I'd have to wrap it up, get to a hospital, get it weighed, and that was your first day as a woman. And then I believed that for like a week, told everybody.
Oh, no.
And then my mum was like, oh no, lol. And then they pretty much told me the basics of what I need to know. But again, I think because they come from a generation where it's like, you just deal with it. You know, we've gone through 3-day work weeks, power cuts, and bin men not doing anything, and Thatcher. So just get on with it and stop your moaning.
What happened when you finally got your period?
I was in China alone. On a school trip on the Great Wall of China, and I literally started my period on a wonder of the world. And
did you just mark it? Sent it as your own.
This is my spot.
I didn't have clean pants, and I had to go to
no.
a Chinese bodega and try and buy pants off a Chinese woman who literally pointed at me and shouted "white giant," and I had to go buy pants, and I bought boy pants by accident, and they were trying to tell me those are boys' pants, and I didn't. It was a language thing, and I couldn't take anybody with me, so I'm just a lonely white child in a shop in China trying to buy pants off women who are shouting at me in Chinese, why is she buying pants for little boys? And I'm like, why are you shouting at me? I've got my first period. And they're like, who is she? White giant. Here are pants. And I'm like, no, I want those pants. And then I bought boy pants, and then I went back to this hotel and like squeezed myself into little Chinese boys pants. Little Chinese schoolboys' Y fronts, and phoned my mum.
Oh, bless. Oh my goodness.
And that was my first.
In fact, so it wasn't mine, but a friend of when I was younger, we went on a school trip to Wales actually, and we were all about 11 or 12, so we weren't quite expecting to get periods just yet, like a little bit longer. But I do remember one girl, and I won't name her because it's a little bit embarrassing, but we had to do shared showers, so you'd wear a swimsuit, and you'd go in with another girl, and then you'd face the wall and do this while the other girl stripped off and cleaned, and then you'd swap, and it was like, okay, this is weird. Okay, we could have just used these one at a time, whatever. But one girl got her period at that exact moment, and so it was just like the scene in The fucking Shining. And all I remember is her screaming and crying, and the teacher calming her down, and then her mum had to drive from Somerset to Wales to pick her up and drive her home, instead of a teacher just being like, here's a sanitary towel, like, go tell one of the other kids, it'll be fine. Like, her mum had to just like drop work and drive 5 hours to pick up her kid across the border. Oh my goodness, and then we saw her next week, like, you're right, like, oh god. We had a good time. We saw dolphins. Like, Jesus.
How about you, Artemis? Do you want to share your your experience?
I literally do not remember. I literally don't
really?
remember.
Well,
Yeah.
look at you with your non-traumatizing first period.
Right?
My mum and dad were always very, very, very chill about this kind of thing, to the point where my dad was like, look, when you get your period, and I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? He was like, you know, if you need chocolate, I'll get you chocolate. If you need pads, we can get pads. If you prefer tampons. And I was like, I don't want to talk about this, but cool, thank you very much. And so it literally really never was the case that it was a problem or anything like that. My problem's more been dudes being like, oh, periods. I'm like, yes, do you literally not have a mother, girlfriend, sister, cousin, aunt, any of those things? Have you never met a menstruating person before? And it's like, no, it's like, pretty sure you have, and you're just being an asshole about it. Pretty sure you're just being a dick. But I've literally made it my point as like when I've been a teacher and things like that for IT, I've still had period talks with the male students. It's like, we're talking about games design, but first, pads. Like, let's just prepare you for something. But yes, it's most of what I experienced was absolutely fine. It was only as I got older and I actually needed to like have a smear test and things like that, I was like, Mum, I'm confused. Because obviously when you have a smear test, for anyone who doesn't know, you go and you get what's called a speculum, which is, well, that's the thing. Like, people think it's this massive fucking made out of concrete. Like, fucking just shear it apart and then straight through there.
Wait,
No. A speculum is
having
tiny.
had several.
Yeah, no, the speculums they were very small. It really didn't hurt that bad at all. It
A
was
weird humble brag, like my
I know.
speculum was tiny.
My
for my
speculum
little
was very
tight puss.
small. I think that would have been a problem, actually. So, no, ooh, let's drop myself in that one. No, so, but at the same time, I was just like, I'm not particularly bothered by this. And I went in and it was done. And then she was just like, okay, bye. I'm like, all right, see you later.
Look at you.
I know.
I'm sorry, but I've
Smear
had
test
metal
I've had
ones.
is okay, you've had the metal one. I've had the metal one, and
Yeah.
I said this, and people were like, they don't use them anymore. And I'm like, they fucking do.
They fucking do.
It's annoying. It's like,
The noise was-
It really does. It is
Okay,
just...
it does sound like strangling a seagull. I will say that.
Yeah. And they don't warn you, and some of them forget the lube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and
And some of us have issues with things penetrating those areas, and it's a genuine illness that means that anything that goes up there without lots of preparation is literally like being split in half. So
fair enough then.
it's one of those things, again, they don't tell you about, they don't talk to people about it. It's the same with going for STD checks. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful things that happen during those that they don't tell you about, and you're in the waiting room shitting yourself going, what the fuck is going to happen in here? And it's much worse than you ever thought.
I'm going to show my privilege off just now. I went to get an STD check once, walked into the waiting room, and two of the nurses were like, you did your Christmas party? And I was like, I am leaving. And I went private because I was like, I do not. I do comedy for a lot of NHS people, a lot of people who work in STD clinics, and they will chat shit about their patients. If you're an MC, like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen in a vagina? They'll fucking tell you. And I'm like, I am not going to be that person, so I'm going to pay somebody.
I'm not giving you content.
So that I can wear a mask and never reveal, like, the massive vagina and never reveal. But yeah, speculums, worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Do you get, because I've got bad, like, penetration issues, and they give me a district nurse lady who holds my hand while it happens.
I mean, I usually get a nurse that will talk me through it, and is understanding of that situation, because otherwise they're not getting anything up there. I'm just like
just fucking concrete doors. No, like,
Pretty much.
So basically, my vagina is like teeth. Anything that goes up there, nope, nope.
Actually, there is an amazing. I'm just going to jump in there. Key and Peele sketch. There's an amazing Key and Peele sketch, very NSFW, but about two very Christian ladies, and they're talking about what they would do if they ever met the devil. And one of the gents, obviously, as one of these Christian ladies, is like, "I'm just gonna tighten up my pussy and crack that fucker off," and I'm like, "Oh!" It is the funniest shit I've ever seen, and oh my god, you have to watch that. Not that vaginas can really do that, but you can break a dick. Yeah. You can actually snap a penis.
Oh yeah.
So don't irritate anyone while you're in there.
Yeah, no, none of that funny shit where you think that you can hold on and see how long they you can stay in there while you know, your friends jump out of the closet or whatever, because your penis is gonna get snapped.
Yes, and that or knees can still reach the buttocks or testes. Unless you're very short, but then, you know, there's other things. But
that's what knees are for.
And yeah, a very quick aside, and I will just say this, and it's going to be a little gross, but we should probably do this talk with men or masked people at some point. People with penises, simply because, yes, gents, if you never have, please wash your dicks. And I say that because as women have to look after their vaginas to keep them healthy, men's will create discharges as well that you don't necessarily know about. And it's called dick cheese, and it's called that for a reason. You don't want it. We don't want it. We ain't going anywhere near it. Just please wash. Please.
I didn't know that there was people not washing parts of their body.
Well, I think it very much comes from the same thing that puts women down for having bodily functions. It puts men down as well. Don't touch your dick, it's gay. And, you know, the moral panic against feminism affects people with penises as well, so much so that some of them are afraid to touch themselves to keep clean because they're told that it's wrong. And yes, washing is not a feminine trait. Please wash.
Oh, but definitely wash your bits.
Also,
my friend
is
had
something important.
Yes.
Fringe and minge rule, which you can take with you for your peen and your, I don't know, your teeth and your keith. They're your
Keith.
Your teeth and your keith. Keep them both. They're your priorities. She was a business lady. She was a fringe and minge girl, but that's your priority.
Yeah, just clean yourselves, look after yourselves, no matter what kind of bodily parts you have, because you're gonna wish you did if you don't.
And on an aside, with the whole cleaning your dick thing, some men have foreskins, others do not. You're going to have to actually peel the foreskin back to clean properly, because otherwise it's gonna keep it in there and it's gonna percolate, and then bad things happen.
Get right in a bit.
Yeah.
You will have to go to a doctor.
Yes. So it's like those gyros. If the gyro explodes as you put the lid on, that's the kind of shit you're going to be dealing with. Except it's not ink, it's nightmare.
Do you know what? You're definitely going to have men on to talk about this or peen madness, because I don't have a peen and I can't discuss how best to clean a peen, but it must be a hard conversation to have about keeping your peen clean, because every time I watch a documentary about serial killers, it's always somebody whose mum cleaned their penis too hard as a child.
It usually is something to do with
so
with that,
I think that's a tenuous, difficult subject to broach. So don't clean it too hard, or you might end up choking women.
Choke the chicken a bit too fucking far. Don't choke hens. Just choke anyone.
Don't choke people, but keep your penis clean. That's... Just try and do both. I know it's difficult.
If both hands are clean, you jump, none are free to choke anyone. So
so much that I need to unpack with that one. I'm going to
If anyone does
distract.
want to come and talk about their penis on the podcast, please do let us know.
Not in a sexy way.
No.
Right. I will distract with telling my own period starting story. Just to distract from this conversation.
I think it needs a palate cleanser. I think it just stands as is. I stand by it. Nobody else said it. I said it.
No, I can stand by it as
you
well.
want.
No, it's fine. We will all take equal responsibility in the dick cleaning conversation.
That was equal responsibility, definitely. For me, I obviously had the school talk where they told us that it's all well and good, you know, it just happens once a month. It'll be okay, you know. It'll all be under control. You might be in a little bit of pain and there'll be a little bit of bleeding, but don't worry. My mother refused to talk to me about it. I knew that she had a lot of severe issues herself with periods, and she had an ectopic pregnancy and stuff like that. So I had quite a knowledge of like how it had affected her, but she refused to talk to me about what was going to happen or what to expect. And it genuinely just happened like at home, luckily. But I literally thought I was dying because so much blood had come out of me that I was not prepared for that kind of situation. From what the school had said, it was going to be this tiny pitiful amount that you might not even notice, and it looked like a fucking murder scene. It was just horrendous, and I was screaming in the bathroom, and my mum thought I was like, I don't know, something terrible had happened. My stepdad ran out of the house to go and sort the dogs because he didn't want to be around for whatever it was that was happening. And then the next day I passed out because I was in so much pain and so much blood. I
Oh, you're like, oh no, what's wrong? Are you okay? Are you talking about your period again, Mum?
She actually knows when I'm on my period, and she follows me around the house because she can tell that something's wrong. She has to come and check on me in the toilet because she can tell, and she won't leave me alone. So yeah,
If I'm on my period and wearing pajama pants, my cat will literally get inside my pajama pants. And then I'm just like, could you get out of here? I have to arrange all of this fucking machinery right now. And, you know, it's just like, Titan, get... he's just like, ah! I'm like, no, not right now, go! Fucking cat.
but yeah, no, it's seriously, they just don't prepare you for what to expect. It's all fine and dandy. It's all going to be a little bit of blood and it's all going to be fine.
Yeah, no, school sex ed is horrendous to the point where I am still considering, because I wanted to be a paramedic when I was younger, and then they were like, you got arthritis, and I'm like, oh fuck, so I can't be a paramedic because I can't be called on to save somebody's life in a situation where someone's paying me to in case they get sued. So that's fine, but it means I could train to be a sex ed teacher, because my sex ed teachers were like, it's called media, and then the kids are like, fucking and they cry and hide behind a piano or something like that. They happened in the music classrooms, not just because a piano appeared. But
I like the idea that a piano just drops out.
just for the teacher to hide
This is your
behind.
period.
But that's it. I mean, kind of that. But I do remember on one year having sex ed, they'd done the whole period talk, and they'd separated the boys and girls into other classrooms to talk about testicles and boobs and things like that. And one kid tried to take some condoms. And this was the bad boy in the class. You knew he was probably just going to blow him up, fill him up with water or something stupid like that. But he probably also was having sex. A rowdy 15-year-old, you know, that it's going to happen. And the teacher took them all back off him and said, if you want these, you can make an appointment with the school nurse. You can put your name down on the thing outside the room. And I'm like, no 15-year-old is going to go and ask, a elderly woman for condoms to register on a fucking thing to say that he's accepted condoms. 5 kids were pregnant that year. In my year,
Oh my
not
God.
even in my school, in my year. One of them dropped out to have the baby, another miscarried because they didn't know anything about that either. And it was just like, all these children are inflating. What's going on? It's like, oh, they're preggers. Some of them bite each other actually in that sex ed class, so that's interesting. And it's just like
literally in sex ed, they were just like,
yeah. And at the same time, you might think, oh, it's fine. We know about periods now. We can just have sex after the period. And it's like, yes, but did you know there's only a 1-week gap between finishing your period and being able to get pregnant again? And they sometimes do overlap, especially if you have something like having 2 uteruses or anything like that, because your egg production could be all kinds of fucked up. And basically, you could get pregnant pretty much at any time. You can even get pregnant in the butt. Did you know that? You can get pregnant through anal sex because the skin that links the vaginal passage and the anus can split very easily.
Oh,
Well-
there's not a lot that gives me the bulk and makes me feel sick, but I am not into butt stuff.
Yeah,
I've
and you have to-
investigated it. I've thought about it. I've
I've
said,
written an essay and it's just not for me.
no, like I said, I went to my friend Bill. Bill's a power bottom. I was like, what do I need to do? He was like, you need to clean first. I was like, Bill, I don't hoover my room before I fuck. I'm not getting my fucking... I'm not getting a scoosh up my arsehole for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But it's too much hard work. And I think a lot of the women I've talked to who are like, I love anal sex, are usually the girls who are like, I don't have many female friends. Guys just love me. And I'm like, you're talking shite. You're talking. I don't believe you. You're a liar, and there's something sneaky. You've started a conspiracy. I think it's like the Illuminati, but with arseholes. And I think that there is a lie being created by people who protect men. I get it. They've got a wee button up there that makes them go, badoo! I don't have that.
Yes, the men, your G-spot is in your ass, I'm afraid. Just
And
in case
that's-
you know.
so
My
any of
hot
you
take
that are
on
being all
arseholes.
like, ooh, I don't want to be fucked up the butt by a girl because, you know, it makes me gay if I do that. That's where your fucking pleasure zone is. Get behind, get with the times. Try it.
Boys, you're the people who should be getting butt stuff done.
Yeah.
Her bums are just bums. They're just waste disposal units. Leave them alone. Yours, a wonderland.
Yeah, you've got the fucking pleasure dome in it. Just
Call me Peggy Mitchell. Oh, good.
I'll put on the blonde wig, I'll ring the bell, and we'll fucking go to town. But yes, back to the main point. Yeah, if you do have some fairly rough, unprepared penetrative sex in the butt, you can get pregnant. So that's why you need to use condoms, and that's aside from the whole.
I mean, there are many
STD
reasons
thing
why
as
you
well.
need to
But I'm
use
saying that's
condoms.
another reason why as well. It's not like you can just say, well, it's fine, period, we'll just do that stuff. It's like, no, because if you are ovulating and that fucker gets through,
Just
problem.
because the butt self-cleans does not mean that it is clean enough for you to put your dick in there without a condom, okay?
And oh god, oh wait, I just had something in my head as well, and I've lost it again. God damn me, I'm useless.
It butts.
It'll come back to me later.
Oh my god. Right. Now,
Any other questions about sexual conspiracy theories? Because I've got lots of thoughts. It's
I mean,
become a myth.
I mean, I'm happy to go
no.
into conspiracy theories, but sorry, I've got the boring ones of like any other utterly crappy things about your period that people don't talk about, and what do people need to understand about this aspect of women's lives.
Well, we're
Well,
on the
people-
subject of bums. Butt pain. The sharp,
God.
weird, shooty pain up your butt that makes you think you're dying. That nobody that feels like you've been like skewered. It's a weird thing, and it's something that happens to you. Also, like leg pain. I thought that I had like diabetes because I had weird like numbness in my legs during my period, but it's just one of those things that happens.
Constipation.
Or
Yes.
flying poop.
Yeah.
I
One or
find it's
t'other.
the constipation and then the period hits and the cramping then, well, it solves the constipation problem, that's for sure.
On codeine, it doesn't. Oh my god.
No, true. When I'm on the tramadol, it's like...
Yeah, shove center into my face, please. Give me the orange juice. Anything. Just anything, please. Prunes? Nah, not going that far, but still.
No one needs
idea.
prunes.
Not even the worst.
Use one of those little glycol things that you put up your butt for when you've got the really bad constipation. Oh, that'll fucking clean you out. They're great. They're an emergency. They're like break the glass in case of an emergency moment. But when you get to that moment of everything, all your medicine has got a thing against you, and you're literally got like a baby poo stuck behind your...
Oh, I just end up thinking of fucking Austin Powers and Fat Bastard. It's like, it's a turtle head poking out. And I'm like...
There are things need to be done. There are steps need to be taken, and that's like my break the glass glycolic thing that the doctor gave that you put up your butthole. You wait for a couple of hours, and then you can finally shit, and it's like...
Well, because cramping as well in periods, they cause so much pressure around your stomach, your ribs sometimes, because the pressure will just keep going up if it hasn't got anywhere else to go. And yeah, you combine that with swelling, literal swelling in most places, to be honest, because it will happen a bit of everywhere. And with, random shooting butt pains and random shooting cramps, where it's just like, I'm fine. I am doubled over screaming. I'm fine. Like, it just comes and goes. And then sometimes it will come for like 2 minutes. You're like, have I breathed at all in the last 2 minutes? Oh, no, that's better. That's helpful. I forgot to breathe. Ow.
It's like the migraine that comes because of the hormone imbalance, and you get like weird food cravings before it, and then during it I can't eat anything. Like I so many times I've got just before my period, I'm like, oh, I'm really hungry, I'm going to treat myself, I'm going to get a Deliveroo. I've ordered Deliveroo, it arrives, my period started, I can't eat a thing, because that's as soon as I start bleeding, I'm like, my appetite has gone, I feel sick, I feel ill, and that's it. And then for 3 days I'm like, oh, I can only take water and chew ice chips, and then I'm hungry again. And it's a weird, there's a weird food thing where your like body just craves salt and sugar and then stops and then starts again, and all these issues. And again, no hat fits everyone. So that was the reason I think we got talking about this. Is I asked on Facebook, just tell me, and Twitter, what kind of things have you had in your period that you never got told about that were unexpected? And I think like 475 people answered, and none of them were the same. And I was like, oh, holy shit. So, and there was grown women in their 40s who were like, I thought I was the only person who got butt pain. And it was insane. And yeah, so there's a whole slew of things that come with your period that you don't expect and nobody tells you about. And it can be different from period to period, depending on what medication you're taking, depending on when where your mental health is, depending on what the fucking weather is like, or your hay fever, or what else is happening in the world, or your anxiety, or if you've got jet lag and then you get your period. That's a fucking psychotic combination. So there's a whole thing that this little, to the point where I've genuinely considered getting an early hysterectomy just to cancel it out, just to fucking go through menopause just now, get it over and done with. And
but first you have to have a kid, otherwise they won't let you.
Yeah, and
I've always been adamant since childhood, and my parents have been really supportive of that since I was like 5, and I said I don't want to have a baby, and I like threw my baby doll down the stairs and was like, this is what I'll do if you make me have one.
Hey, yeah, we're not going to go for the child murdering then.
No. So I got one baby doll. This is how bad it was. My parents gave me a baby doll, and I named her after my granddad's mistress to prank everybody at 4. And I was like, she's called Angie because she blinks a lot. And that's literally what I did with my baby doll, is I used it to zazz my granddad's mistress.
Beautiful.
Oh dear. But that's the thing. It's our body. We should be allowed to choose what we want to do with it. We shouldn't be required to procreate if we don't want to, just to stop this hellish experience that we have to go through every single month, or if you're looking like some, more than once a month, because that's the thing. It's our bodies. We should be allowed to choose, and yet we have a bunch of fusty old white men dictating whether or not we can choose to get rid of a baby, or whether or not we can choose to have our baby making shit taken out. And that is just ludicrous to me.
Oh, but they'll stick a man's balls at the drop
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
fucking hat.
Yeah. No, that's reversible, so no.
Oh, yeah, but there's not always, and it can go severely wrong.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's fine. Most of the time it's fine.
But also, we're not going to fund male contraceptive because things could go wrong.
Clots.
Yeah.
With the AstraZeneca
Clots.
thing recently, with them saying it causes clots, and it was something like 1 in a million or something, I laughed so hard, and I looked at my husband and said, it's 1 in 400, I think, for the birth control pill, and they'll shell that out to 13-year-olds. But the minute a man could get sick, oh, fuck me, batter down the hatches, stop it going across the country line.
Like,
we can't have men getting sick. And again, this isn't talking about trans masculine, trans femme as well, so it's not necessarily just people who menstruate, but it's like, you know, the kind of people that they're thinking about when they say these kinds of things, and when they put these kinds of things into place, it is the cis man that they are worried about. And I was just like,
send us in the war, you stupid women. If the men are sick, who's going to go and fight in the battles that need fighting? Obviously they can't if their penises aren't working fully, because how are they gonna
my granddad's sister actually
sword fights. Like, honestly,
my granddad's sister actually died of a blood clot from the contraceptive pill, and it's you know, it's not that long ago in recent memory that because that was when it initially came out, and I mean, we're still taking it. It's like so many people died of blood clots, and it's still an issue, and it's still a thing. And there's concerns about, like, when you're traveling and taking the contraceptive pill, you're more likely to get deep vein thrombosis and stuff like that. And it's like, oh yeah, but you know, we're fucking up our hormones, we're fucking up our bodies, we're risking clots. But as long as men still get to ejaculate, it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I take the pill. I have an implant scar. I had an implant for 2 years, and I'll never forget what the doctor said to me when they took it out, because they were like, "Oh, it's not been in long enough. You know, you can keep it." I was like, "No, I'm pretty sure it has," because I'm thinking I just want to take it out because I was having no period, but I wasn't having no period cramps, no period side effects, no period discharge. There was just no blood, so there was no relief from any of the other shit. And I was like, the other crap's still happening, just the blood bit isn't happening. I'd rather that happen than all of the rest. And then it's basically just all the build up and no orgasm. There's nothing happening that will actually relieve any of this. And I said to the doctor, "Oh, you know, I'm not bleeding." She was like, "You do know that's what's meant to happen." And I was like, "Oh, fuck off." Like, yeah, I get that, but it's been 2 years and I'm very annoyed. Like,
I mean, to be fair, that was what my pill did for years, and honestly, it was a fucking relief not to bleed, but that's because my experience is endometriosis, and quite often it's not a month wait, it's a random start, stop, random stop, there we go. It's like, it's all over the fucking place. But
I'll throw in a random quick question, just because this one shocked dudes when I've again, cis dudes, when I've explained it to them. What's the longest period or longest like duration of bleeding you've ever had, like continuous?
A year.
Most recent. Oh my god, fucking hell.
I mean, obviously it wasn't the same
consistency and amount,
as a normal period, but I was constant because
Yeah, 8 months.
Hmm.
Yeah, 8 months straight at 17. And the doctors were like, "Oh, it's fine." I'm like, "Is it?" Like, okay. And then it just stopped one day, and they were like, "Oh, see." I'm like, "Okay, sure."
I feel like that's their answer for loads of things, especially
gone
things that
away
they
now,
don't
it's
understand.
Yeah,
I feel like that's so extreme, like months of constant period, and to just be told, oh, that's normal. Don't worry about it. That's and to me, that's insane. If I bled for months, I would literally be kicking down the fucking door of a place. For me, 10 days is like a really long period, and it's bad, and it's horrific, and it's heavy, and it's like bleed through all my clothes, stain every bit of furniture I'm sitting on, hellish bad. But I know that there's an end in sight. And that's one of the few things that gets you through a period, is knowing that there's an end in sight. But if you are living in a world where that is every day for you, with no conceivable end, because every medical professional is just like, oh, well, that's what happens, don't worry about it. That's a nightmare, and that's horrible.
Yeah, and it was just like, I just have no idea what to do right now. Like, apparently it's fine. So it's like, okay, cool, it's fine. But then I look back and I'm like, that was a long time. That was a long time that didn't really make sense.
Also, the times where every time you had sex, it started. I've had that. So that was fun. Every single time I had sex, it was like, oh, look, periods. It's great.
Have you ever had when you go to the doctors, their first thing is always, you should lose weight?
Oh, God, every single fucking time.
It doesn't matter what it is. Like, I could be having seizures, and they're like, "Are you eating too much, Ashley?" And I'm like, "Go fucking die."
Yeah.
For me, it's
like
usually
your arms come
are you pregnant, or can you get pregnant? You should get pregnant, or you're not. You shouldn't, but you should.
For me, it's always, have you gone on a diet? Have you looked?
Yeah.
Or one time, it was a new GP. I never saw him again because I kicked up such a fuss, and he said, "Are you unemployed?" And that was his question, was when I was like, had really bad cramps, and I was really worried, and I was bleeding heavily, and I was like sweating and nauseous. He was like, is this like try to get out of getting a job?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me, because when we were talking about earlier, you know, doctors not believing, especially, you know, women and women presenting people a lot. But, like, have any of you ever found when you've tried to get a day off work and you're thinking period pains, you tell them you're having an extreme migraine or something instead, because you don't think that they'll actually think it's a serious problem? And most of my managers have been dudes. And for me to go, it's period pains, they're like, oh, you know, I don't trust anything that bleeds for 3 days and doesn't die. I'm like, fucking leave. I don't care for that joke anymore. I really don't. I will make you bleed for 3 days if you really fucking want me to show you. Like, I just...
I was Prime Minister. I would make a law that if any man said that joke, you get to blood them like they creepy cunts in a hunt, where you get to just stick your fingers in your pants and rub it on their face and be like, and that's one!
Simba!
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, did you make that joke?
Yeah.
Like that.
It's like, I'm not even going to check the consistency, colour, anything. You're getting what you fucking get when you make that joke. I don't care. Honestly, it's the thing that 6-year-olds make because they've just heard the word for the very first time, and their fucking dad in a wife beater has made that stupid fucking joke. I hate it. I hate it so much. But yeah, you then call up and you're like, oh, I've got period pains. They're like, well, you sure you can't come in? It's like, no, I've literally ruined 2 pairs of underwear. I have no pads. I've eaten all the chocolate and I'm crying. Do you really want me to deal with this in the customer service environment? No, you don't. No, you don't. Actually, no, I've thrown up. Oh, well, stay home then. It's like, I'll tell you it's anything else. But you don't get time off for having periods, despite having them pretty much, again, if it's regular, every single month. But every single woman is expected not to use their time off. Or every single person who bleeds is expected not to use their time off on periods because, well, it's not that bad. But that's, again, what people have been taught, even from a younger age. If boys have been taught about it, it's not as bad. It should be fine. And then you get into work and they're like, it's not a valid reason for time off. It's like, you try it.
It's like, okay, I'll just spend the entire time running back and forth to the toilet, either checking my pad with the shits, with cramping that is causing me to then bleed through the pads that I'm wearing, the nausea,
and next periods.
Oh dear.
It's unfortunate that though we can have a laugh about it, because there are very much times where periods are funny and they can really be, and having the period can actually, you know, when you're talking about it again, it's like, that is actually quite amusing. So much crap you have to go through just having the idea of one. It's like, well, I can't get any time off for this, and if I use it then I can't, but I don't have enough painkillers, and if I take those painkillers they'll actually give me constipation, which will make the pain worse, and so then I need the other medication, but I can't afford the other medication, and then you just, well, yeah.
And
you're literally caught red-handed. There's nowhere to go.
The painkillers make you dizzy, and you can't eat them. You can't take them in an empty stomach. But you've got to eat something. But you can't eat something because you feel sick with the pain, and so you're literally eating a dry piece of bread and shoveling it down your throat so that you can take painkillers, which are inevitably going to make you feel sick, but they'll stop your period from hurting, so that'll be okay.
But then you'll be nauseous anyway.
But then you'll be dizzy and spacey, and you're going to say something fucking weird on the phone because you've taken what are essentially opioids to deal with the sharp shooting pain up your vagina, and then you're on the phone and you have no recollection of when you pitched to the BBC that you were going to play a Gamergate guy in a sketch, and now you're wearing a wig and a moustache shouting show me your tits, and you don't know how you ended up there. Literally, you can find it. He's called Murray Chad Michael. It's a character I have no recollection of inventing, which I signed up to do. People hate it. It's a horrible character.
Wow. Wow.
Murray Chad Michael or Michael Chad Murray, and yeah, I had to get my mum to film it, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know. I pitched this, and they've gave me money, and I'm."
I mean, they paid you for a period delusion. It's, you know.
Because at some point, while on opioids full of period blood, I went, "Do you know what'd be really funny? A guy."
Just a misogynist.
Like, because that's literally the phone call I had. Do you know, really funny? Just like, hey, and he's like, tits! And they're like, nailed it. That's comedy right there.
Perfection. Do it again next month. It's like, all right, you can try.
Wait a second, let me just dose up on opioids and then we'll be good to go.
I mean, I'm literally on opioids every day and people wonder why I say weird shit.
So, and then that's like fucking bad for you, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right, any other questions?
Wait, that's the other thing. Don't forget, just lose weight. It'll fix everything.
Oh yeah, you go on a diet. That'll make your life better.
Yeah, of course. Because now I can wear those pants that everyone hates.
Or my new favourite from a doctor. Have you just tried not caring about being in pain?
It's all in your head. It's like, yes, that's where the nerve endings end up, you fucking twaz. Just...
Yeah, it is literally my head telling me that I'm in pain. Because
I got one gave me mental crystals. And I was like, you're giving me Vicks for my periods. And he was like, if you sniff this, it'll help with your like pain. I was like, this is Vicks. So you've given me a tub of Vicks, but in crystalline format for my periods. And he was like, mm-hmm.
God, we already said don't put anything near your lady parts, or sorry, again, near your menstrual parts.
No, it was for sniffing, like a Victorian lady. It was like
sniff rocks to help you.
On an aside, did any of you guys ever have those like migraine sticks that you wet and rolled on your head that were supposed to help with migraines?
The only reason that they did help a little bit was because some of my like major headaches and that was caused by a lot of tension around, and I got it because I was congested a lot. So just because they were basically Vicks in a stick, putting it on, but it not being a giant fucking smeary layer, did kind of help. So for technically they did kind of work, but only if you had a very specific type of headache. Otherwise, head on, apply directly to the forehead. No, just
Oh,
Mayans
shit.
bred chihuahuas for periods. But the Mayan women would like hold them to their stomach as little hot water bottles, and that's what chihuahuas were originally bred as.
Oh
It's
my
like
God.
literal
Tremble constantly just because they eat fresh enough.
little living tiny dogs that you hold to like. Could you imagine those Mayan women? They're like, oh, there's a beheading up the top of the fucking pyramid today. I've got my chihuahua on. You've got your period. Just all these women holding trembling chihuahuas to their belly.
No wonder they look so traumatized. They've seen some shit.
They are just so fucking angry as well. They must just be like absorbing the waves. You hold one next to you, it just saps, like one of those fancy crystals, just saps out all your energy, and it's just there like, no!
Yeah. It's literally, chihuahuas are literally bred not for anything but to be held by angry women near their pain source, and that is all they're for, and that is why they are the way they are, and that is literally the purpose of a chihuahua.
What I want to see is some woman with like one of those baby holders with a fucking like German Shepherd strapped in there. Just like it's heavy
Strap in,
duty.
guys. It's going to be a big one this month.
We brought the sniffer dogs just in case. Oh no.
Oh my God. All right. Moving on to the next question. Audience questions now. What more do you think businesses could be doing to help women when they are struggling with their time of the month?
Like you said, just being aware of it and not making it more difficult than it has to be, and not assuming that it's some sort of get out of jail free card.
I think actually allocating an extra day to people who menstruate each month to take off, as it's not like, oh, I took up smoking so I could take a 15-minute fag break every couple of hours. It's actually a fucking torrent of blood and clumps out your vag, and you don't want that. It's not opt-in usually. So actually, yes, having an extra day where a person who is menstruating can just be like, having period, can't come in, and you're just like, okay, we will defer the work for now. Like, I think that would be great, because again, it's not like we've gotten sick. It's a routine thing. We shouldn't need to be claiming that we're actually super ill, and in ways that we're not, because people won't believe us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it also shouldn't class against records as being an ill, you shouldn't be having to take 6 days, like, because that technically counts against you in your like rank or whatever. And the idea that you're going to have to take sick days every month is going to look bad. And it's like, well, no, it's not something that I choose to happen. It's literally a biological process that 50% of the population go through.
I think just like knowledge is power. I mean, you guys must know about when NASA sent the first woman into space for a week-long mission. They sent her with 100 tampons just in case. Like, that shows a great lack of knowledge from NASA. And I think that any just form of information, open discourse, your mum has a period, your sisters, your wife, the women in your life has periods. If you are a non-bleeder, be aware of it, have a chat, don't feel like you have to like be affronted by it. There's a weird sort of vibe just now where if you want to advocate for yourself, there are some people who feel like you advocating for you is somehow detrimental to them because they don't have that thing. Don't take it as like a thing where you have to be defensive and be like, well, that's not something that affects me, I'm angry. Just be chill about it, dude.
Yeah, I also think if companies are going to provide, toilets, make sure, and this is going back to talking about trans people who menstruate as well, make sure the men's and the women's have bins, because I cannot imagine how horrendous it's going to be for a trans man who is menstruating to not have a single bin and have to carry out a fucking waddied up piece of bloody fucking just plastic and sticky and everything, and a thing that stinks of blood, and try and find a bin when there's a bunch of blokes pissing at urinals. Like, that's not a comfy situation, and you don't want to put that shit in your pocket because you got red on you then, and you don't want to put it in your bag because gross. Like, just put a bin in the fucking toilets. Like, just put a bin in the toilets. And also, if you do have a significant amount of people who menstruate on your staff, you could also just provide some basic towels and tampons. They may not be people's favourites, but there are emergencies. And the amount of times when I was at Frontier, I'd have to go around and I'd be like, oh, so-and-so, I know so-and-so doesn't actually bleed because of blah, blah, blah. Okay, do you have any? You just gave your last one away to that. Okay, does anyone else have any? Okay, no, you don't. Shit, what do I do now? There's no shop in like 2 miles. It would have been great just to have some. And eventually the women that worked at Frontier started taking in packs, and we started leaving them in all the bathrooms, a little note just saying, from so-and-so, use them if you need them. And then somebody else would just refill them. But the company should have just, there you go. We've spent 10 quid. Like, here's 100 pads, done.
I'd like that because I hate, I know this is going to sound like such a bitchy thing to say, but I think there are some women in the world who pretend they need a sanitary towel to make friends in toilets. And I know that sounds like a really psychotic, paranoid thing to say, but I've been in like productions where a new girl's come in and she's been like, does anybody have like a towel? And I'm like, it's your first day here. Are you just trying to like get in? And I don't know why, but I feel like I don't want to talk to people in a toilet at any point in my life.
No.
I just wish that was never a thing that had to occur.
Honestly, I wish I didn't have to
like
use toilets in general,
bonding.
but
Yeah.
having to talk to people.
I don't like I feel like there's a type of female bonding that's taught to us through films and television that I get very uncomfortable when it occurs. It's like, do you have a towel? Do you want to like drink Cosmos? And I'm like, eh!
Yeah, it's like, oh, why do they not go to the bathroom to go? I'm like, I don't know, I need to shit.
I mean,
like, I don't
to be
want
fair,
to talk to you
I
right
wish
now.
the bathroom had Cosmos.
Yeah, no,
That'd be great.
I just like, every single time you go to a pub and there's like 12 women vaping in a bathroom, I'm like, could you move? I really have to pee right now. Like, seriously, these heels are uncomfortable. The floor is wet because you're all fucking just chilling in here. Could you move? And I don't know.
Could you leave so that I
know.
don't feel self-conscious about the fact
Yes.
that I need to shit while you're all
Please
there
don't make me cough every
chatting?
time I need to pee. Like,
I think that's it. Yeah, I just don't like female toilet bonding. There's
Yeah.
something icky about it, and I get some
yeah.
women are into that, and that's why we're all different, and
Yeah.
none of us are the same.
But yeah.
I can tell you some horror stories about working in the NHS
God.
with how completely and utterly unprepared they are for female employees or those that are menstruating. Like, the amount of times that there are not enough toilets, for a start. There are not enough toilets because those toilets have to serve all of the staff and the patients. And quite often, the staff need a very quick access to toilets because they're fucking medical professionals that are literally trying to save people's lives, which also results in the toilets being a complete and utter disaster zone. And people go to those toilets to generally have a chit chat or hide in their break because there are no break rooms. And they don't clean the toilets as often as they really need to. And always the bins are always overflowing. All of the half of the toilets are out of service because they're always clogged. It's you don't want to touch anything because hospital toilets are literally like the most horrifying experience anyone can have. And it's shocking that a place where you would think that they would know that half of their staff menstruate, surely they would be prepared for these things. But no, it's even finding a toilet with a bin in is just
It should just be part of the course because there's always going to be something you need, and like some dudes as well do actually use pads. Some people may not know this, but some dudes do have discharges and things like that you need to clean up, and so there should just be a bin provided.
It's like just really simple things like, can we get a bin
Yeah,
in all the toilets?
done.
That's it. And what can companies do? Fuck everything else. Just the
Bins.
lowest thing, a bin,
Yeah.
please, that's emptied that you can put stuff in.
Once a day,
Also-
just clean it up.
people people have incontinence. There are people that who are incontinent that require bins, and you don't provide them, and that's not limited to people who menstruate. that is a whole world of people. And I mean, there are so many situations where just having the basic supplies ready for people is just
Bins.
yeah
Yeah.
Bins.
Just a plastic tub, please. just with a bag in it.
Yeah.
Probably a lid, because you don't really want, you
You don't want
you don't need that to be open.
Not that fussy, mate. Just a receptacle will be
A
fine.
hole.
Yeah. It's one of those yellow bags that says biohazard on it. 'Cause you have to have one of those. But just innocent bag in it.
Personally,
Yeah.
I would hope for all things to basically be biological waste bins. Seen as though most of the things that are going in there are biological waste. But you know, a bin would be a good start. That's separate from the open.
Yeah.
All that chat was just a bin. Just a bin,
Just
mate.
Yeah,
please,
a bin.
You've got a toilet, make sure there's a bin in it. That's it.
Right. Okay. Next question. Do you feel that sex education should be more realistic to the struggles women will face when going through their periods? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we've covered that. And yeah.
Covered that. Right.
I don't think would it be weird if we were like, no, I think we should really keep people
No,
should
I think we should
Yeah.
hide
so they
it.
can get a surprise.
Honestly,
yeah.
we have more content if you don't tell them. So if you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just
yeah.
keep that secret
Actually, yeah, don't
know
educate.
everything,
We
yeah.
need to make more content about how shit society is.
from
If you tell women what's coming, you will stop any chance of there being new female comedians. Fact.
we don't have content.
Yeah.
But no,
How
but
are we
as well
supposed
as
to continue being funny if you educate? We've
everyone
got
knows our
nothing to go
secrets.
on then. What do we bitch about?
If we
Yeah.
aren't constantly shocked and terrified by our own bodies, how are we supposed to laugh?
No. It's gallows humour. No, it's just period humour now. But no, teach. If you're going to split it directly, as I say, into girls and boys classes, teach boys as well, or stop fucking splitting the classes. Women probably touch dudes' nads more often than the men are going to check their own nads. So teach the women how to check for lumps, and
Yeah.
dudes are probably going to grab a tit more than women are going to sit there and go,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. So teach them how to check each other, because we're probably going to notice it on each other more than we are on ourselves.
In sex education, I know that my male friends got taught about wanking, and I think that women should be taught about cracking one off so that you don't spend like the whole of your 11th year alive straddling your couch and not knowing why you feel tingly in your downstairs while you watch Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. So I think that should be openly discussed. Not going, this is my horse and I really like it. I think that should be talked about.
Obviously, there's a bus that goes to a certain part of the road on the way back from college. I'm very curious about this bus. I've heard some people are in love with vehicles. Is that what's going on, or is this something else? Like,
But nobody ever took me aside and was like, look, it's normal, every woman does it.
yeah. Did you know
Chill.
that for women it's called jilling off, because men's it's called jacking off? It's Jack and Jill, the fucking children's nursery rhyme. I didn't know that until last year.
Oh, I say cracking one off, so I don't have a jack. It's for me, it's a full-on crack one off.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah,
wear dungarees.
Jilling.
Just walk about shrugging. Everybody's like, what you doing? Nothing.
Nothing at all. Never you mind. You get one of those onesies with the butt flaps sorted.
Oh dear. And also normalize
Answered.
sex toys. Normalize
Yeah.
sex toys, because I mean a lot of
Bingo.
women can't experience pleasure from the same things. You know, there's clitoral stimulation and there's vaginal stimulation. Educate about those.
You know,
Jackhammer. A woman is not a road.
be open about it. Have a chat. Stop trying to sell me a massage gun. I know what it is.
Oh, yes,
I'm
the
not
magic
gonna
wand
work
is on your
out-
shoulders.
I'm not going to work out the knots in my thighs. That thing's going straight in my vag. It's the first thing I googled when I saw it being advertised. Can you put that in your push? Yes, you can. Okay,
Yes,
good.
you can. Yes, there's a reason they're waterproof.
Stop pretending.
Yeah, women are too demure though. Don't worry, they can advertise men's condoms on daytime TV, but my God, no, that is not a pleasure stimulator. That is for muscles from doing the dishes. Honestly,
What do you think housewives are doing in the middle of the day when they're watching those doctor programs?
Finger banging. But let men know that it's all right as well. It's one of the things where we can all have like a get together and be like dildos and whatnot. But men, I think, are still kind of like scared to talk about like the pocket pussies and whatnot. You can have fun with them, boys. That's what they're there for.
Just wash them out.
Use your dishwasher. They're dishwasher safe. Yeah. Most of them are detachable and stick them in the dishwasher. And, you know, it's been a hard time. Lockdown's been difficult for a lot of us. Some of us have been at home with our parents. Some of us have had to have very frank conversations about where all the AAA batteries have gone. It's fine.
Honestly, I mean, one of the things that sold most in the UK during lockdown, do you know what it is? I read this yesterday. One of the things that's been sold, one person made millions. Like one individual dude made 100,000 just in his local area.
It'll be fleshlights.
Sanitizer.
No, fuck butts.
Yeah, fuck butts. That evergreen boat was carrying fuck butts.
Yeah, it was, exactly. Those are one of the top selling items in the UK because dudes will realise that the butts were elsewhere and had to buy plastic ones to go to town. But yeah, please clean them. Again, as we were saying earlier about warm and moist and dark environments, clean them. Jesus Christmas. Do not create new life accidentally. Just
a wee man who does like the replacements on Love Dolls, and he's like not into them at all, but he's like he works in a factory and is doing like silicone molding, and he lost his job, and his new job is he like makes replacement vaginas for life-size Love Dolls and like replacement throats and like specialized throats and pussy tunnels and whatnot. And
God, that must be a very strange experience.
He is like a very completely like, I don't get it, not my thing, but it's what I do. You know, it pays the bills. And his wife is like fucking wrapping them up like to send them off to Keith and wherever Belfast, who's like Love Doll Serena has broke her throat recently, and then I don't know how it happened. Her throat broke.
She was singing a bit too much.
Did you just fall out one day, or what?
I 100% think they're hilarious. Also, I think it's hilarious that the biggest selling Love Doll with a voice has a Scottish voice, because for some reason, globally, men want like, hello there, so what hole is it today, sir?
Damn it. I knew there was a reason I wanted a Scottish accent as a kid. Actually, I still do, to be honest, but you know.
That's a dream. That's bucket list for me. I will 100%
Voice the sex doll.
Do a voice for a sex doll that's like, hello boys, what's happening?
Can I do the Yorkshire one?
I would pay to see that skit. I would love to see that. But I'm now just remembering the Archer episode where his girlfriend has a robotic vagina and she leaves it in the sink and he's just like, oh my God. And it's like, what? And it's like, does it require the deep clean, Mum? And it's like, and he's like, it vibrates. It's like, oh no. That was those were some very funny episodes.
So there we go. That's us covered that one.
Right.
Yep.
Last question. Menstrual cups. Yay or nay? Heard great things about it from a lot of female friends. Any personal experience?
I've tried. I'm a nay. I didn't like it. It was too footery. I'm too fat. It's too awkward to get it up there, and I didn't like the feeling of being like an executive desk toy. I felt like I was sloshing inside while I was moving, and I didn't enjoy it. I want to be more eco-friendly with my period, but I find it incredibly difficult because I bleed so heavily, and it's difficult to find a product to fit me. People have said reusable pads. I've tried them. They don't stick. They like flip round. It's an issue for me. But yeah, for me, it's a no. Guys, what about you?
I haven't tried the cups because, dear God, I can barely use like tampons back in the day. I'm not fucking around with a cup that is like potentially can actually cause internal issues if you pull it in the wrong way because it's a vacuum and
You have to pinch it first. You have to pinch it first, because if not, you can cause a prolapse.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Anything that can do that, I'm not putting that anywhere near that.
I've literally never seen them for sale, so I've never bought one to try one. I've just never ever seen them.
I mean, I can actually give you a website that sells them because it's the same place that sells the reusable pads that I use. So I now use cotton like pads, and they are so much better than general pads have ever been for me. I can wash them as often as I want. I can get as many as I want, and I know that next month they'll be there to reuse. And they just go in the. I mean, obviously, there's the horrendous part where I have to wring them out in the sink, which is not the most pleasant of things. But then that shit's coming out of my body, and I've got it down there anyway, so yeah, it's been the best thing for me because.
And how do they stick to, like, how do you deal with it in your pants? Like, do you have to wear quite a tight pant to get that?
That's the problem. I've had to buy special like pants that aren't really my usual style because they're press stud, and I'm sorry, but those things, they spin, and that's not good with the kind of flow that I get. So I have a tighter like boy boxers now that kind of act like a period pant. But obviously it just makes that part detachable, while the period pants that you can get that are built-in ones are like the entire pant. So
that's what I want to try. That's the next step for me, is I want to try the period pant where it is just literally the whole pant is the sanitary device. I think I'd have to like double pant. Like thinking about it logically, I'm like, I probably would need to double pant. But it's because you're constantly thinking, it's unhealthy for it's unhealthy for the ecosystem, it's unhealthy for everything. But at the same time, you have to be able to function because you are still a human being without leaving. If I could be one of those women who free bleed, I would love to. Like, I would love to be that kind of mindset where I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna just sit and I've got a special chair and I'm just gonna bleed. And I would love to be that woman, but I can't.
Dear God, there are people that can do that?
Yeah. What? And they are like activists about it. They're like, fuck the world, fuck your patriarchy, I'm going to bleed all over your house. And I am jealous of the women.
Like, the only thing that I do really love about using these reusable ones is I don't end up with the irritation rash. Because the texture of pads is atrocious. That's made to go against your skin, but dear God, it's excruciating. And
who just don't itch, and I'm like, who are these people who can put that near their skin and don't want to just fucking claw? Like, I could sit during my period and just scratch, and it's unhealthy, but I need to just want to like scratch constantly, and it's so unpleasant. So
it's horrible.
With pads as well, and there's again another thing that people probably don't want to hear, but the bottom of your body is kind of like a convex kind of thing going on there. So the blood doesn't just go straight down. No, it's like if you try and pour it around the cup, it'll go around the rim. So it will go near your butt, and so you need to actually be wearing a pad long enough to catch blood wherever it gets to.
And when you're lying down, guess where it's going to pool?
Yep. So which is why you just get that random weird rectangular splotch on your sheets, and it's just like, that's not quite where I expected it to go. Heaven forbid you move in your sleep at all, or, roll a duvet around you, because then it just ends up looking like a fucking, tortilla wrap with ketchup.
I mean,
no.
To be fair, with the night sweats that you're getting because of it, and the hot flushes, and everything that you're getting while on your period, you're going to be moving around a lot, so you're just going to be blood everywhere if you haven't got an adequate pad on, or you don't change it in the middle of the night, or...
There is a TV show that I made called Up For It. It's still available on the iPlayer. And we do a lot of talking heads where we're like sitting talking to camera and we're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And there was one day where I got a really, really heavy period and I was wearing my dungarees and I was like leaning forward and it like spilled over the top of my sanitary towel and all over the front of my dungarees. And everybody's a man on our production. I'm the only girl in the entire production. And I'm like, oh no. And it was this, there is a bit in the opening credits that's in every credit where I'm like waving at the camera from this balcony. And I know that 3 minutes before we filmed that, I realised that I had bled all over myself. And I'm like hiding it.
Oh no.
A balcony while I wave at a camera. And that's probably the worst thing, is like that shame of, because it's in other people's head, it's like akin to like peeing yourself or pooing your pants. It's like, oh, you can't control yourself, but it's not. It's so hard to dictate the direction of your flow.
Yeah, and you can't control it. Like, you might be able to stop yourself needing to pee for a minute. If you really can't get to a bathroom, you might be able to hold it. You cannot hold the blood. There is no muscle to hold it, because by the time it's coming out, it's bypassed all the muscle. You could maybe, if you were really fucking going for it, you could hold minutes later, but what's already going is already going.
Yeah, and that was our first season, and I was too scared to like say anything. And now everybody knows. And my radio producer, he edited it, and he was like, "I can tell the days you're on your period and filming, because you're like white and you're really angry and you mutter under your breath about us in between takes." And I'm like, I do. I'm like, shut the fuck up, just shut the fuck up, just shut your fucking hole, I fucking hate you. And he's like, I know that there's like days where you'll just mutter under your breath the whole day about how much you hate me. And I'm like, Ashley got her period that day.
People who watch my streams know when I get my period, because I try and be quite honest with this kind of thing, because it's the easiest way to, spread a bit more empathy. But I will normally end up in full goth makeup because I'm just naturally white as a sheet. And it's just like, all the blood's gone somewhere else. The baby box has been sabotaged. We're just going to roll with it and just be goth and angry for today. Just fuck it. Like, I cannot tone up this colour at all. It's not happening.
So that's my secret. I'm just goth and angry all the time.
Yes. Oh, Strigger's paw just went straight across the face then, like, for fuck's sake, we know.
Poor Smush. Right, well, that is all of our questions. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us today.
Before I go, I did have a special headband that I had for being, because you're a gothy lady, and I thought this might be like my one time to get to wear it, and I didn't wear it because I was too much a piss. So I'm just gonna wear it for the end.
Oh, that's
my special
amazing.
gothy headband.
I told you Drac would love it. I told you.
That is fantastic.
It's like the Hannibal horns, but slightly less murdery.
Oh, I'm living for it.
I'm a gothy lady too.
You're a goth now, yay!
Oh dear.
Fetch me a cat and a lipstick.
You can use eyeliner. That's what I did for weeks until I found the lipstick. So.
Oh god. Right, can we get a shout out for Ashley and obviously our co-host Artemis? I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you'd like to catch up with the previous episodes, they are on Anchor at the moment, and our next one is actually next week, where we will have Daydreamer Dan on to talk about the issues with Asian hate going on at the moment in the US, and generally to talk to us about being a BIPOC creator. Once again, please do go and check out Ashley's stuff on on her Twitter, on YouTube. You said you did YouTube, yeah?
I'm on YouTube. I'm on all the platforms.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
literally
like,
everywhere.
wait, you definitely said you were on YouTube.
Yeah, it's all right. On my stream, we were actually watching the Little Mermaid sketch earlier, and I couldn't get the video high enough, so it's just me going like the entire way through and nobody hearing anything. It's great.
If you'd
Just
like
me
to go and watch
shitting
Arthremis laughing to herself, you can check out. But yes, thank you again so much for coming and talking to us about periods. I'm sure it was extremely enlightening for chat, and if not, well, they can fucking lump it. So
Guess who's got her period?
Honestly, if it's more than 3 days, Drac, I'm not going to trust you any longer.
Fucking 8 days, eh?
Oh, goodness.
Right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Next stream will be tomorrow, where we'll be playing Phasmophobia with Arthremis and Kay and Mouse. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. I hope you have a good rest of your week. And I will see you guys soon. Say bye, guys. Bye, y'all.
Remember, don't clean your penis too hard or you might choke someone.